Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel review of week one. We're just a little bit through the Bolton game at the minute on Sunday, so we will be adding that at the end. We're going to start with Luton 1, Wimbledon 0 on Friday, and I was watching this one and thinking, Wimbledon are parking the bus bloody well at the back, aren't they? And Luton just couldn't seem to get past it. And an own goal from Johnson was on 85 minutes was how they managed to win this one 1-0. They struggled to get any shots on target. 65% possession to Luton. 6 shots, 1 on target, 2 off target, 3 blocked. They just kept doing the same as last year. The problem here is in League One you don't get the space. In Championship you get space to play football. And at the end of last season, if you look at my videos of Luton Town's reviews, they used to get the ball coming across, and any of the players up front would used to stun the ball, stop it, look around, pass the ball on. It used to be a quick controlled stop, hold the ball, pass it on. And they tried to do the same here. You've got to be quick in League One. If you get the ball, you will get either one or two people there ready to tackle you for the ball. You don't get the space, you don't get the time on the ball. It has to be one-touch football. Rather like if you look at the goal for Port Vale against Rotherham, absolutely stunning. About 6 passes, one-touch passes, bang, 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 straight across, straight in the net. That's how you have to play the League One way, because actually keeping the ball for any more than a second, you're going to get tackled. And that's what Birmingham found last year. And it took them 3 games to really get into this idea that you need to pass the ball on. You need to be well controlled. Luton Town not quite having it. They kept going down the wings. I saw them several times go down the right wing, cross it in to that, play it into the right post, and then lose it. 1 shot on target in this entire game. I don't care what people are saying. Oh, you don't know what you're on about. 1 shot tells you everything. With 463 passes and 65% of the play, where did the ball go? From feet to feet, and that was it. They kept pulling it back, playing it between each other, pulling it back, playing it. Yeah, they kept the ball brilliantly, but they just couldn't get that into the box, because when it came up to that bus that Wimbledon had parked in their defence, you can't get past it like that. And they really found that the style of the League One is not going to be anywhere near as easy to break down if you carry on playing in the same manner. And that really does worry me for Luton Town. 7-2 for Luton Town. And you're thinking, can they be valid champions of League One? Absolutely. I think that they're probably going to do exactly the same as Birmingham, and after a couple of games they'll be bright and cheerful, and they'll be knowing exactly how to get past that bus, because most people playing Luton will be doing exactly the same as the teams played last year against Birmingham, and it will be a parked bus. I'm sorry, you'll only get the odd ones like Bolton who don't park the bus, play from the back, down the wings, whoosh, and they've increased their speed as well this year, Bolton. So it's going to be teams like that cause a little bit of a problem for Luton. But I think that this was just a bit of a wake-up call for them. Luton Town 1, Wimbledon 0. Should really have been more, but they just couldn't get that park bus idea. Just didn't get it. They didn't get it at all, did they? On the other hand, Wimbledon, I think Wimbledon did well. I think Wimbledon certainly what they tried to do worked. They did park the bus, and it almost worked. I mean, 85th minute for that own goal. 85 minutes, so close. Wimbledon 100-1 favourites, one of the favourites to go down, aren't they? Based on that performance, I can see them being in that bottom end. But where in that bottom end, that was actually rather good. Although 36% possession, 2 shots, none on target, 2 off target. You've got to be at least trying to make the effort to catch the in this case Luton on the break. You really got to be changing that one. So both sides have something to learn from that game. So that was a very good game to start with, wasn't it? And then we go to the Saturday games. Let's go to those, and we start with the lunchtime one: Cardiff versus Peterborough. Cardiff ran away with this straight from the off. 2-1 winners against Peterborough. However, it was Peterborough that scored first from the penalty spot, 33 minutes. And he should have. They should have got a red card. They should have got a second yellow, I think, for that. A lot of people who I was listening to on the radio were saying that was certainly a second yellow for the Cardiff player. But he managed to get away with it. Yeah, should they have been down to 10 men? I think so. The radio stations seem to agree. But Peterborough went 1-0 up, and then after half-time, just before half-time, Peterborough, after that penalty, they'd improved quite a bit, I thought, but a very short period, sort of almost up to half time. They were quite good, and then they just petered off just minutes before half time, almost thinking, "Wow, we're up to half time, phew." And then afterwards, Cardiff came out just as good as they came out in the first half and maintained it. So what were the stats on here? 57% possession to Cardiff, 17 shots, pretty good, 6 on target. Yeah, very good indeed. Certainly going to be putting those up in the top 6, isn't it? And Peterborough, 43% possession, 7 shots, 3 on target, 1 off target. Now, a lot of them blocked, to be quite honest. I think that the 469 passes for Cardiff says it all. They kept the ball, they passed it well. Yeah, occasionally they lost it through by stupid passes, but not very often. Most of the time it was clinically really good. 6 shots, 2 in the net. So I say 6 shots on target, 2 in the net. Pretty good. 17 shots, 6 on target. Yeah, that's going to put them in the top 10. I think that for me, this Cardiff City side is and should be looking at a top 4 position. Based on that game, I think that they can do. They've got to be a little bit more ambitious when if they go behind by accident. That was totally against the run of play. We can't let them in, or you can't let them in as soon as you get a bad run of the ball. Peterborough, on the other hand, 43% possession, 7 shots, 3 on target. I think that this side is capable of doing things. I think that a lot of people have seen Peterborough do so well in past seasons, but they changed their formation and their style of play and got rid of their captain and decided to play totally different football last season. Didn't quite work. You know, they haven't stopped and they haven't changed, gone back and changed back. And I don't think that's a good idea to change back, because if you're going to do it, try it, make sure you at least try it for a season or two and see if it works and try and get it to work. Just because it didn't work once doesn't mean you can't get it to work. But, let's see, and let's give them another year. Let's see if they can actually compete with this new style of play. I think they can. I think they did really well, but they didn't. Once they got their noses in front, they seemed to just pull back a little bit too much for me, and never really went past that half, that sort of mid third of the field. And just seemed to lose it as soon as they got it into that final third. So they can, and I think you've got to remember it is a Cardiff side straight down from the Championship. I don't think it could take too much from this game. Cardiff City 2, Peterborough 1. Peterborough 28-1 for promotion here. Next up, it's Blackpool versus Stevenage, and Blackpool 2, Stevenage 3. This was a game and a half, wasn't it? Blackpool have done so many changes, 11-1 therefore going up the Seasiders, and they've really done some good work over the summer. I mean, Peacock Farrell in, Ravizoli in, Danny Imrie, George Honeyman. Who do you want to add? Yeah, they've got Blackpool have done really well, and they'll be happy that they got that goal, Honeyman, in 6 minutes, and thinking, yes, we're at home, we're going to do well here. Both attacking really well. 471 passes to Blackpool, 251 to Stevenage. So Blackpool kept the ball. They were at home. You would expect that. 65% possession. Yeah, you would expect that with such good passing. 8 shots. Not that good. 2 shots on target, 4 off, and 2 blocked. So half of those 8, 4 of the shots were either on target or blocked. They need to be doing better than that with 65% possession. And against the Stevenage side that people were saying were going to be rather poor this season, 35% possession to Stevenage. And they won. 7 shots from 35% is actually not bad. And 4 of them on target is a good conversion rate, isn't it? 4 on target and 3 in the net is an even better conversion rate. It sort of makes me think, can they be clinical like this all the way through the season? Why not? Stevenage are touted for being near the bottom, aren't they? If we could go all the way down there to 50-1 against Stevenage. The odds have actually got better. They were actually being touted for the bottom 6. They're now sort of being touted for somewhere just below halfway, and I can see that being a point here. That was a clinically brilliant performance by Stevenage. Blackpool 2, Stevenage 3. Who do we go after Blackpool? We go Bradford Wycombe. Now Bradford coming up, some really good summer signings there. They've improved what they had when they came up, and they've improved it with really good League One players. This has been very much people telling me on the comments here that they look to be somewhere in the middle, Bradford, whereas Wycombe, a little bit jaded. They did so well a couple of seasons ago, not really changed how they play. Yeah, that open checkbook idea from last season seems to have been closed a little bit. Last season they tried to be very good with their finances. They did spend, but they spent on a few really good players. They didn't have the depth of squad, and then they went all the way up into first position at one point, and then they dropped down into the top 6, and then just failed at the in the playoffs. So, can they do it again? Well, I think that people are seeing that the loan signings for Wycombe last season were really important. That's what got them up, I think, into that top position. I think this season they've not really done the same thing as far as loan signings for me. I think that they took a step down. Can they get into that top couple? It's 18-1. It's not looking as rosy as it did last season. And Bradford City 2, Wycombe 1 would certainly seem to suggest that. Bradford City, 32% possession, 68% to Wycombe. And Wycombe did run this one quite well. 497 passes against Bradford's 220. Bradford were just giving it away a little bit too much for my liking. 32% possession, 12 shots, 6 on target, 2 off target. I tell you what, they're actually, when they shoot, they're actually trying to make sure it's on target, which is pretty good. And I think that will do them well as this season goes on, possibly making it a more of a mid-table team for Bradford. However, at 28-1, probably about the right odds as well. 68% for possession for Wycombe, 11 shots, 1 or 2 lower than I would expect. 3 shots on target, which is good for a top half team, but that's not where they're looking for. And 3 off target, 5 blocked. So they're playing it along the ground quite a lot because that's where most of the blockages come from, where you try and bash it into the back of the net as low and hard, and it gets kicked out, blocked, defended against. So Wycombe, from this one, I think they're only going to learn that they can run riot, 68% possession, and still lose the games because they have to be a little bit more than 3 shots on target from 11. So let's see how that one goes. Bradford City will be happy winning that 2-1. And I enjoyed the fact that when they shot, it did actually appear to be actually looked at, and I'm going to try and make sure this is on target. Burton Mansfield next. Mansfield 40-1 for promotion, which puts them into like the bottom half, I think. Burton, of course, one of the favourites to go down, 66-1 against them, going up. Burton 2, Mansfield 1. Burton on 22 minutes and 50 minutes, and then Carhill on 76 for Mansfield. This was, I think Mansfield really did well in the first bit and then the last bit, but in the middle, the majority of this game for me was Burton's day and how they managed to change it. 39% possession to Burton, 12 shots though, which is really good for 39%. 4 of them on target. Nice mid-table look, which will actually be beneficial for this season if they can keep it up. 12 shots, 4 on target, 2 in the net, 3 missed. I think that this is looking good actually for Burton. Let's see how their away form does. Mansfield Town, though, 61% possession. Again, this is in 2 bits, and they didn't seem to, in the middle, defend well enough, and they just seemed to let them in a little bit too easy. Back line didn't seem to do it for me. 423 passes, though, so they seem to be trying to keep the ball and then just making 1 or 2 clinical mistakes at the wrong point in time. There were a couple of times I saw them keeping it in the back, and then they suddenly give. In fact, their goalie did it, gave it to the attacker, and you're thinking, "Oh, what the hell are they doing?" And and that was the problem for me. There were too many clinical errors, really, really big errors, not just little ones, but blooming great big ones. 12 shots, 3 on target. This is a bottom half sort of feel. It's mid-stroke bottom half, like just below halfway feel to me. On target 3, off target 5, blocked 4. I think this is a sort of lower mid performance from Mansfield against what we expected to be a poor Burton side, but actually it was a lot better than what we thought. So here the Burton side won this game probably quite reasonably. I think it could have been a lot more for me. The number of times Mansfield gave the ball away in their own defensive area, so it was a little bit too frightening. Doncaster versus Exeter, and a penalty on 88 minutes for Doncaster did this one. 1-0 to Doncaster over Exeter. This is one of those games where I think we were looking at Doncaster. They've made a few good signings here. Certainly, game promoted. Some really they've made a couple of they've had a couple of losses. Sherman Lowe and Aluwu, who I liked. Certainly liked Aluwu, but it's they've managed to get a really good set of players in a good mid-table League One set of standard players in, and I think that Doncaster have made some good changes there and certainly bolstered up to improve enough to cover those gaps from the leaving players. Doncaster 1, Exeter 0. Doncaster 65% possession, really good. 16 shots, only 3 on target, 9 of them off target, 4 of them blocked. they've got to do more like Burton. They've got to get more of those 16 shots on target. Be a little bit more clinical. Be a little bit more Burton, to be quite honest. Absolutely. On the other side of it, Exeter City, 35% possession. They parked the bus. And I don't see why, because Exeter did well, I think, last season, and they did a lot better, I think, than what people were at first expecting them to do, and they managed to survive, I thought, reasonably well at the end of the day. Everybody's expecting to be right at the bottom, and they weren't. But parking the bus against Doncaster, who've come up from League Two, I'm not quite sure why they did that. Perhaps they just didn't want to lose that game, and when it looked like being a hugely, percentage-wise, 65% to Doncaster. When you start seeing that at the beginning of the game, did they just try and shut up shop? If they did, it did work quite well. 88 minutes penalty, it nearly worked if that's what they were trying to do. Does look like that's what they tried to do. Not quite sure that was the right tactic. Perhaps that's where they're going to fall down, if anything. However, Exeter City, 80-1, look like being in the bottom six at the minute from that performance, unless they can get out of the box and actually get into the opposition's half a little bit more. 80-1 looks like being where they're going to be. Please do like and subscribe. Give me your comments down below, Exeter fans. Give me comments down below. Anybody at all. Do love to hear from you. As long as you're not slagging me off for being... I don't get paid by YouTube, so I can't do an awful lot of research, I must admit. So do bear with me until we can try and get more subscribers, please. As we go into the next game, we've just done Doncaster Exeter. Huddersfield Leyton Orient. This was a game and a half. I enjoyed this one. Huddersfield 3, Leyton Orient 0. This was one-sided, wasn't it? Absolutely not. This was not one-sided. If you were going to say this was one-sided, I'd say yes, Orient. For the first half, Leyton Orient were well on top in this game. And yeah, I know I can hear you, but they were behind on 7 minutes and never even got a headway into it. However, Huddersfield Town, 6-1, one of the favourites, doing some really good signings. They really have. Remembering that they changed their manager and it sort of went okay, not brilliantly, but at least they started scoring, especially at home, which they hadn't done all year up to that point. They look like a really good outfit, a really strong outfit. A lot of people touting them for first or second place. Huddersfield 44% possession, Orient 56, and they actually had over 60% possession in the first half at one point. I remember Huddersfield 13 shots, very good for 44%, 8 on target, very, very good conversion rate there, 4 off target, and just 1 blocked. So there's lots of crosses, lots of pinging it into the box. It was a good game. Huddersfield, yeah, they were good for their 3-0 win. However, Orient 56% possession. At some point it was over 60. 14 shots, more shots than Huddersfield. Obviously, Huddersfield put 8 on target. Leyton Orient put 3 on target. So a lot of the time when I was looking at this, they're sitting back and firing it far too high. Like, they could have done so much better had they got balls on target instead of 3 out of 14. They'll be bitterly disappointed at that. And they haven't done that badly, I don't think. They lost 15 players, but they managed to get in some really good replacements. And I actually thought that that 20-1 price for Leyton Orient, it's putting them sort of in that top half, but just sort of somewhere between 6th and 12th. And I think that's probably about where that's probably about right. And based on that game, if they can just get some of those shots on target and think about their shot before they, as they hit the ball, please. Now it's got to be one-touch football. Remember, like I said, for what I'll be saying for some of the other games, like the Luton game. Got to be one-touch football, but they've got to make sure that they get it on target as well. So Leyton Orient lost there at Huddersfield 3-0. Pretty good game. I think Orient will be bitterly disappointed though there. Lincoln versus Reading, and this is another one in the same remit. So it's Lincoln City 2, Reading 0. Reading actually had 67% possession. Lincoln City had 33%. I think at first this seemed to be a game, and please do tell me if you disagree, it looked like it was set up to be a game of, I don't want to lose this one. 452 passes for Reading against 221 for Lincoln shows you that they kept the ball nicely, they played it around nicely, they didn't overly lose it stupidly too many times, and this side that played so well last season and ignored all the fuss-offs off pitch, have now got a new owner, and the future looks bright, and they've been doing some good business, and I could see this side doing well this season. And looking at those figures, it certainly can. 67% possession though, 9 shots. That is a lot shorter than we thought. And I think that to me was down to the fact that neither of these teams really wanted to lose it. Let's just try and build it steadily from the point of Reading and try and make sure we can get through this park bus that Lincoln seemed to have more often than not. But it wasn't a completely park bus. They did have bursts of brilliance during the game. Yeah, you don't get 6 shots at target for if you park the bus 100%. So they did sort of come out of there occasionally, cause Reading a few problems. However, Reading were in control of this one, but Lincoln won. Now, why did Lincoln win? If you look at the really main point here is Lincoln City had 2 shots on target. Reading had 2 shots on target. Reading scored none of theirs. Lincoln scored both of their 2. And that's why Lincoln City won. Reading fans will be gutted by this one. They should have at least got 1 point from this, not 0. Lincoln City were pretty fortunate. A Burns own goal on 20 minutes. And a Hackett goal on 67. I think that they were really they really took Reading on the break, and good for them. They showed what they can do against sides that we knew were going to play well. Reading, they've got that new owner. People were worried that this side would do well this season. And I think that we very well may see them do well. As for the odds, we have Reading on 14-1, putting them in that top bracket up there, and Lincoln City 33-1. We're talking around that mid-table, probably just below the mid-table is where people are looking. But yeah, they're good for their money. I don't think they can park the bus against every team. Parking it against Reading, I hope it was because it was the first game of the season. We'll have to see as we go forward for the next games, won't we? So that was the Lincoln-Reading game. We go to Plymouth versus Barnsley next, and this was another exciting game. And it was exciting because Plymouth came down. They've got rid of a few good players, and I've got 2 groups of people commenting on my site over the last month or so. A lot of you saying we've got rid of a lot of our best players. We've not got in players anywhere near as good, but we have got replacements. I think we're going to be somewhere between 10th and 4th or 5th. And I think there are a lot of you are probably looking at that thinking there are a lot of teams who are recruiting extremely well, like your Lincoln, like your Huddersfield, like your Bolton. Far too many to be thinking that they're going to be straight back up in the top 2. And I think that those sets of fans have been commenting that on my channel. Yeah, you're probably being a little bit more cautious and a little more realistic. The others that have been trying to disintegrate the channel, and it's been one or two Plymouth fans, to be quite honest, have been thinking, oh yeah, you said we're going to be first, and we are going to be first, but you've not looked at our amazing recruitment. I'm thinking, it's not been amazing, it's just been pretty bog standard for top half League One, combined with some good Championship side players coming down. It's not something I've gone for. I predicted first because everybody else out there was thinking sort of second or third, and the other teams that were being touted for first were sort of like, you've got to look at how you lot. I had to look at how you lot were predicting, and on the whole, the Plymouth fans were more consistently saying second, whereas the ones saying first were either say first or sixth, first or 12th. So I put you there because of how I felt with the general feel of your recruitment and how you lot were thinking. Based on this performance, Plymouth 1, Barnsley 3. Plymouth had 53% possession, 15 shots. Very, very good, that, guys. But only 3 of them on target. They just didn't seem until the second half. They didn't seem to be in this game. And then all of a sudden in the second half, they just took hold of this ball and decided, I'm going to keep it. You're not going to have it back. The pass rate was about the same for both. 373 for Plymouth. Barnsley 346. Not a great deal of difference. But Plymouth had it more in that second half, until Barnsley got that third goal in 86 minutes, and then it seemed to be a little bit pointless and things just seemed to calm down a little bit and evened off. Barnsley 47% possession, 12 shots. Again, pretty good, isn't it? 7 shots on target though, so they were a lot more clinical about things, and it's that clinicalness, I think, that got Barnsley into the winning seat. Now, one thing about Barnsley, and a lot of you Barnsley fans who are subscribers, last season and the same season before, beginning of the game, first 5 to 6 minutes, that's where you lose it. Last 5 or 6 minutes, that's where you lose it. Middle, you seem to be playing really solid football. Hang on, we sort of like swapped. Have we swapped it this season, Barnsley fans? It's solid for the first bit of the game. It was solid for the last bit of the game, and the middle a little bit woolly. So it's gone completely as we up north would say, arse over tit. Is completely inversed. So I look forward to seeing what Barnsley do, because if that's what they've done, well, it worked. But Plymouth 1, Barnsley 3. You can't argue with the result. I think Plymouth will be a little bit disappointed. They played so well and came so close to getting that, getting back into it, but just couldn't do it. We go to the Rotherham Port Vale game next, and Rotherham Port Vale was an interesting game for me. Just want to say Barnsley are 22-1. And Plymouth are up here on where's Plymouth? On 15-2. So they're sort of they're thinking Plymouth, even with the losses they've had, are going to be somewhere up there in that top 6. And I probably agree with them. Rotherham United finished with 10 men. Port Vale finished with 10 men. I think that 32-minute red card for Headley for Port Vale really did stump Port Vale, but when they came out in the second half, they had the run of the field in the second half. First half, completely Rotherham. Second half, completely Port Vale. 48% possession to Rotherham, 12 shots, which is pretty good. 4 on target, a good mid-table, sort of just under halfway type of football, and that's really where we're expecting it to be. only one shot blocked, which shows you we were doing down the wings and trying to cross it in, down the wings to the byline, cross it back. Port Vale, 52% possession to Port Vale, all in second half. 19 shots, mostly in the last 10 minutes. I kid you not. 19 shots, 4 on target. 13 off target. You know that we were actually listening to this one. This was one that we were playing while we were on the watch along, and the number of times the radio, he leant back and skied it. He leant back and skied it. Dear, it's like a FIFA game. You know, they say, we leant back in. I always tell you, when you lean back, when you kick that thing was coming out on the radio for real, not on a FIFA game. But that's what they were doing. 13 shots off target. Port Vale cannot be doing that. Cannot be doing that in this league, because you're going to get people. You're going to get people giving you a little bit more space than in League Two, but not an awful lot of it. And you're going to have to make sure that when you kick it, first touch football and at target. That wasn't happening for Port Vale. Yeah, they hit the bar, the post. Sorry, but they didn't look like winning it, but they certainly looked like they could draw it. Let's have a look at the odds, shall we, for Rotherham and Port Vale. Rotherham are 25-1. It's sort of putting them just above halfway. I think that's probably pretty good odds for a bit. On the good side, really, but I think we're really looking halfway, just below halfway. But 25-1, that's measly odds, isn't it? 66-1 for Port Vale. They're not sure where in the bottom half they're going to finish, people, and the odds are all over the place for Port Vale that I've seen. I think Port Vale, based on that performance, if they can get some of those off target shots on target, they could be a rather surprising force. The only downside for me is that you've got Darren Moore, who everybody knows his style of football. Everybody knows how he's going to play, and that means that people now have to set up against them. So it's going to be a case of, do they, will they, and can they stop them? Because if they can get more of those 19 shots on target by sheer stats alone and percentages of probability, they're going to get more in the net. Rotherham 2, Port Vale 1. To our last game, Wigan versus, last game of Saturday. Wigan 3, Northampton 1. Good game, this one, and I enjoyed it, because I've been saying Wigan have been one of those sides that I've liked I've liked what they've done, and I think that their recruitment is sneakily optimistic for me. I like it. I like the way they've built it. They've targeted where they're going to do. They try. Look, their goals for was dreadful last season, but their goals against was absolutely brilliant. Was it about third best? Seventh best in the league for how many goals they conceded. But the attack was completely the opposite. 40 goals in attack. Not so good. So let's have a look. Wigan Athletic 3, Northampton 1. Northampton they sort of improved a little bit last season, didn't they? Towards the end, but all the other teams below them started improving really quite dramatically. Crawley even really improved, but Northampton just above, a few above them, were just we're sauntering, we're going to get there, and they did, but they didn't improve an awful lot. I don't think they've improved an awful lot this year. Wigan, I think, Wigan were my favourites for this game. Wigan 3, Northampton 1. 49% possession to Wigan. 20 shots. Ouch! To say they had less of the ball, just for 20 shots is brilliant. So what happened? Well, we can see what happened. 8 shots on target, 3 in the net. They'll be reasonably happy with that, but that is something that can be and I should think may very well be improved. 5 off target, okay, that's not bad for, and I think that that sort of statistic would be slap bang in the middle, 22-1, and I think that's probably where they're going to be, just above halfway, probably somewhere between halfway and 7th is where that's taking you, and probably where those stats are as well. Although I think that those stats, if carry on like that, if they can be transmitted away from home as well, this could be a top 16, which is where you and I predicted them in the top 6. I think that Wigan very well may be one of those teams that we put in that top 6. Northampton Town 80-1. Like I say, Cobbler's not really improving for me last season enough, and I don't think they've improved a great deal in the summer. 51% possession, 7 shots. No, not really. 4 shots on target out 7, which is actually quite good. So when they shoot, they try and get it on target, which is always good. And 4 shots and 4 shots on target and 1 in the net is good. So I'm actually relatively pleased by the ratios, but 7 shots from 51%, away from home though, so that wasn't actually too bad. But that defence, to let 3-1 away at Wigan, I don't know. I'm sort of in part. Do tell me what you think, Wigan and Northampton fans, because I think that they did well, but they should have done better with they were so even percentage-wise and statistics-wise, but they seem to be more concentrating on defending, and it didn't go well, did it? Three let in. What could they have done better? I'd love to know what you think. Personally, I'd like to have seen the front the play a little bit further forward than they did, because with that amount of play, I would have hoped, and they had more passes as well. So it was 325 passes to Northampton, 314 to Wigan. So it's pretty level, but they were just a little bit ahead in every aspect apart from the shots. So they were just keeping it in their own half, trying, we don't want to lose it. Let's see what happens when they go play at home, because they play better at home, Northampton, and let's see what we can do when they go away. Will they change their style of play? I hope not, because that really did work. Wigan Athletic 3, Northampton 1. Please do give me your comments, and give me your comments on how your team did and whether you think I was right or wrong. Try not to give me too many dislikes, because I don't get paid by YouTube, and I do like people to watch it and have a look at it, and by watching it, I mean have a look at it all the way through. Give me your comments on the different games, and I'll give you some more. We will keep up the lives for a short while. You do need some more people to come in realistically. 1 or 2 is not really that great, is it? So please do come in on the and have a chat during the live streams on 3 o'clock on a Saturday. And I'll leave you with the thought of liking, subscribing, sharing the video. And it's John Esser Sports Show over and out for week 1 of League One football.